What's up? What's up? Welcome back to Midwifery in the Sip. This is Adriana.
Hey y'all, and this is Francine. What you sipping on,
Francine,
Adriana?
girl, water. It is hot. What are you sipping on?
Girl, water, same thing. Before we started talking on the podcast, we were talking about how we just finished working out, and it's warm. It's a little bit warm outside where you are, and it's warm up here where I am as well.
Baby, toasting.
Mm-hmm.
Just straight toasty outside.
Toasted. So get that hydration in, drink that water, eat that watermelon, whatever you got to do. Drink that hibiscus. Stay safe.
Yes, coconut water, cucumbers, all the things. Just
All
get
the
your
things.
electrolytes because it's hot.
Yes.
In
Yes.
Mississippi, with that humidity, y'all get something to drink. Seriously.
hmm And thinking about my grandma in Mississippi, I used to be like, Grandma, why you put salt on your watermelon? I thought that was the nastiest thing. But now I'm thinking back on her. I'm like, yeah, hydration, lady, hydration. She was out there in that yard doing all her chores. She needed hydration, and she liked the taste of salt on watermelon. That ain't my thing, but that was her thing.
It's not mine, but I like the tahini sometimes, depending on the mood. But I prefer it on my pineapples and my watermelon.
So, speaking of grandmas, I'm looking forward to this conversation today, Adriana. Bridging the generations. I have been thinking
Yes,
about this a lot. I'm really looking forward to this conversation.
yes, I definitely want to definitely double back, and I say definitely because I definitely do. But I want to double back to this conversation in the future when we get a chance to get an elder to come and sit with us too, because I think that would be amazing for us to get their input and see what they say on how to bridge those generations. I mean, you have midwives from Gen X, some are that are still practicing that are in the booming generation or boomer generation, and then of course you have mine who are us millennials. That's crazy.
Yeah, and you know what? I will say this. It seems to be this is just my experience. It seems to be a little bit difficult to find those elder midwives that you can have conversations with, that you can, experience get some feedback from what she's experienced. It just seems like that's a difficult situation. I don't know if it's because communities are pretty much dispersed now. People don't live on in a one block radius, or I don't know what that is, but it just seems that there's a disconnect. I know we've talked about this before, but the older generations aren't really keen on being online and communicating that
Yeah,
way, whereas the younger generations are more comfortable with that, and that could be the gap as well.
definitely them older generations are very private, gatekeep. We keep that to close to home. And I will admit, yes, us younger folks, we do like to be on the social medias, and those after us are very TikToky and saying, hey, this is it, and kind of opening the gate. But sometimes we need to gatekeep. We just need to bring it back home. And I agree with the elders on that. Um, but that also means that you're gatekeeping knowledge that needs to pass down. And we need that knowledge passed down because we don't want it to die.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, it's almost like we have to go back to the olden days where we knock on folks' doors and be like, "Hey, Miss So and So, here's a basket of cookies. Can we sit down and
right.
have a conversation over tea?"
Right. You know what? And that's true because like I would love more than anything to be able to sit with our elders and just learn more, sit at their feet and just absorb the knowledge that they have. Um and then on top of that, when it comes to teaching in midwifery, when you have apprentices, some of the elders believe that the same way that they were taught, that's how you need to be taught. And that's how we need to work on bridging the relationships between those generations because what worked for them won't work for us.
Yeah, I do appreciate the times that I've been able to sit literally at the feet of elder midwives and just listen to them talk about their stories and their
Mhm.
remedies and the things that they go through and the rituals that they do for birth. I mean, I don't think anything has really compared to that situation of being able to really get their feedback on a lot of stuff. Yeah, but bridging that gap. So what do we do in order to bridge this gap? Like we have oral tradition versus institutional education, and what you just said about midwives, elder midwives wanting the youth to learn the way they did. Is that really
Mhm.
feasible? Are they, are they being illogical thinking that we're going to learn the same ways that they learn? Or are we being illogical, thinking that we don't have to learn the way that they learned?
I mean, I can respectfully say, as far as like part of one of the younger generations in midwifery, some not millennials per se, but the generation right under is what, alpha? Are they alpha?
Girl, I don't know.
It's so many. No, they're Gen Z. That's what they are. Gen Z had it a lot, quote unquote, easier society wise. And what elders before us, they didn't have what Gen Z has. Gen Z literally has knowledge at their fingertips. Elders learn from experience, and if it was written and they could read it, they read it. Um, but for the most part, they literally learned with their hands. So, and I actively worked with an elder virtually last week, and she was walking me through how to palpate a mom's belly over a fibroid.
Mm,
And I mean, shout out to the fact that I got to feel a fibroid in a 35-week mom and learn where baby is and how to distinguish the difference. But she walked me through it, like telling me how the elders would, if you were sitting at their feet and they were saying, okay, so this is what you do. To be able to experience that, I believe all midwives should go through that in the up and coming generations, because we need that knowledge, we need that tradition. But a lot of the times you have Gen Z who has that knowledge at their fingertips and think you can just click a YouTube video and then you learn it. And it's not that simple. You genuinely have to learn with your hands the same way the elders did.
yeah. I don't I do value books and stuff. I'm not gonna say I don't value books because I mean I'm sitting here in my library right now looking at all these tons of books. I do
Yeah.
value that. I definitely value that. But I also value that hands-on experience, learning from the elders. And I appreciate you just sharing your story about the fibroids because it made me think about me working with an elder, and this is a man. He showed me how to spot scar tissue just by touch, just
Hmm.
by touch. And I'm like, how am I going to see this in a book? You can't see this in a book. You
You
have to
can't.
train your fingers. You have to train your mind and your fingers in order to experience that.
And when we're reading the books explain to us what we're reading. So yes, you have the knowledge, but to be able to be hands-on and actively feel it, now you have the touch and the knowledge to go together, and it becomes it sticks. You're retaining it. So just wanting to have that easy way out, you can't have that, especially in midwifery, because lives are at stake. You can't just say, "Oh, I'm just gonna watch a YouTube video or just watch this virtual class," and I'm getting my didactics. It's more than that. It's
Yeah.
genuinely more than that.
And I also think with the book knowledge, there comes a disrespect of elder knowledge. And the elders can tell that there's a disrespect for their knowledge because many people will look at books, look at education, look at institutions, and say, well, the institution says that I should do it like this. But the elder is telling you, well, not necessarily, because I've delivered like 300 babies, 1,000 babies.
Hmm.
And I know from my own experience that it should be done like that. And then there becomes this battle. Oh, well, the institution versus you, and you're not as smart as the institution. And I've seen that dynamic a lot.
Well, that's the patriarchy. That's just we just call it what it is. That's just the white man patriarchy. I mean, and that's literally what it is. Like men got greedy and wanted obstetrics for themselves because when you look at the birth rates in midwifery a century ago compared to now, and you're having better birth rates with midwives at home births now, and it was higher where you had success rates a century ago, that should tell you something. But because of money, because of pride, is taken away from those midwives, and that circles back to us talking about the grand midwives, how they were pushed out because of greed, and it's literal government greed.
Yeah.
So we,
So, mhm.
oh no, go ahead.
No, I was going to ask, with all of that, it's government greed, the institutions, the elder midwives who are getting older, and they're not going to be in this physical realm forever. How do we bridge this? How do we respect their traditional knowledge while at the same time embracing new tools, even physical tools that we use?
That's a good question. Like how do we bridge that? Um, I would suggest, because I mean, of course, with society, they're going to look more or less towards what institutional education you have.
Mhm.
Why? We don't know, but that's just what they tend to pivot for is institutional education. What have you done didactic wise to learn midwifery versus what have you done apprentice wise? Um, and I guess the easiest way to bridge that is those elders, if they are willing to teach in an institutional setting, or have quote unquote labs. If you are in an institutional setting, then yeah, that would be a great way for the grand midwives to come in and say, okay, this is how you're going to learn with your hands. This is how you're going to make this muscle memory. This is how you're going to recognize what to do in these particular circumstances. And that would be one way to bridge it. But we're also in a very technological society now. So it still goes back to kind of meeting Gen Z where they are because they rely so heavily on technology. And
Yeah.
and that's where we kind of have to figure out how can we bridge that. And honestly, it's okay to turn off the electronics. It's okay to turn off YouTube and not have to rely on Google because millennials are older than Google, so I'm pretty sure we know more.
And Adriana, okay, I definitely get what you're saying. I also, I don't know, I'm feeling a way about this because we just talked about, you learning about the fibroids with touch and me learning about scar tissue with touch. I feel like the knowledge that comes from the elder midwives you need to get that knowledge before the institution. That's just the way I'm feeling right now.
No, I
And please,
agree.
y'all, don't throw no tomatoes at me. I just feel like learning how to bake a cake from scratch is what you need to learn how to do first before you say, okay, well, I'm just gonna get this box cake. Because if you just getting this box cake, which is new technology, new tools, you get so used to the tools that you don't know that you need to have eggs that's room temperature. You don't know those fine details of your
Mhm.
work if you skip that and go straight to institutions.
Agreed. No, absolutely. And when it comes to institutional learning or even just didactic learning, now I genuinely believe that doing them simultaneously is more beneficial. And I can speak on that for me personally because I am apprenticing actively while doing my didactic learning. And it just so happens I've been blessed that when My preceptor gives us didactic learning this week. I just so happen to have something in the field of midwifery when I am apprenticing that tends to highlight on what I just learned from the books.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll be doing homework and going over stuff in class, and then the next week, boom, there's a birth, and we're talking about back contractions from last week, and these are the ways we can help those back contractions, and or if we're talking about babies in wonky positions and learning and understanding what position the baby's head is in, or talking about shoulder dystocia, and I can actively speak on that. With I had a birth last week that was a shoulder dystocia.
Mm-hmm.
And we have been talking about shoulder dystocias in my didactics literally for about 2 months. And I was able to recognize it before the nurse midwife saw it. And I was like, hey, this is what it is. And even saying, is it possible that we can go ahead and flip her? They did not want to move that lady. They did not want to move her. They wanted her to just stay on her back and just hold her open and move the baby. And I'm like, she just needs a runner's position. And her husband had to curse those people out just to get her moved to her side. They wouldn't even flip her over to hands and knees into a runner's position. But the fact that in my didactics, I recognized it immediately, and the person who was the provider genuinely was not, able to catch that. So being able to put those skills to test, so to speak, with your hands, with your knowledge, with your sight, with your being present in recognizing and seeing such, I think the two together can be very beneficial and can make some great midwives, because you're sitting down, you're learning it, you're feeding your brain to retain it, and then the minute that you see it, you're able to, with the guidance of a midwife, able to work and make sure that mom is safe.
I think what you just said, Adriana, you just said a lot in that. A lot of things that you said weren't really said. Now, you have that experience because you're working with your preceptor, you're going through you're going to actual births, and then you have this group of midwives who did not have that understanding that you have. So there's the
Mhm.
gap right there that we're talking about bridging. It's like, why don't they have that knowledge, that understanding, and that experience that you have? Be Of course, you're dealing with different preceptors. What is, and I'm not talking down on any preceptors or anything, but I'm saying what is missing with their educational component that you're getting. And we know it's because you're doing everything at once, but they don't necessarily have that privilege. So how do
No,
we make a way for everybody to have that privilege? Is that
I
even logical?
yeah, I think it's logical. I mean, you think about it. Even in medical school, medical students do their didactics first, and then they go into their training. And then you have a whole lot of bloopers and stuff because they don't remember the didactics, right?
Hmm.
But if they were simultaneously training while in their didactics, you would not have as many bloopers that they're having in the medical field. And that's just, think about it. Electricians, plumbers, construction workers, truck drivers, they are doing their didactics simultaneously while training.
Yeah.
Even the nursing staff have to do didactics before they learn how to throw an IV. But if they learn how to throw an IV simultaneously while learning their didactics, you wouldn't have so many bloopers while they're training to throw an IV.
Yeah, but with the
And
nurses, the plumbers, the carpenters, those people, especially when we're talking about Mississippi, where there's no licensing for midwives, right? So those
mhm,
people have licensing. And I'm
they,
not I'm not saying pro licensing, but they have, things are set
mhm,
in a way that's for them and in a way that's not set for midwives. Now, again, you are privileged enough to have the preceptor that you have, but that preceptor that you have can't split herself into 100 ways to teach these
correct,
other people who are missing the things that these other people are missing.
correct. And this is true. But I genuinely think that when we're going in those situations, that will be the best way to bridge that gap when it comes to education and training.
Yeah,
Um,
I agree with that.
and I mean, even in an unregulated state, you still need it, not just for midwifery, but even in obstetrics. There are a few doctors who have migrated to the States from other countries that I have worked with, that some of my peers have worked with. And a common thing that I have noticed with them and why they are such great obstetrical people, doctors, is in their home countries, they actively sat at the feet of the midwives
Mm-hmm.
while they were training. So when they come here and they are practicing, and you're saying, I would like to have as much possible a natural birth as I can, they're very hands off until they need to step in because and you that's a midwifery trained skill because a lot of the times in midwifery we are sitting still. We're sitting on our hands and we're watching. And some of the best observers you will ever meet in your life tend to be midwives because we
Yeah,
will observe everything. We won't say much, but we see it all.
yeah. With that being said, with them being able to sit at the feet of midwives, and we talked about in previous episodes about how many midwives are actually in the state of Mississippi. That kind of leads me to the question of burnout among elders and the
Hmm.
sense of urgency that we have right now in preserving this knowledge. We can't have our elder midwives be burnt out from this work.
No, we can't. We need them,
Yeah,
but we also need them to pass the torch. And I get it. When you have a new student, that's a liability or a possible liability. But you can't take on all of these clients and then cry, woe is me.
yeah.
So what do we do from there?
Training. Yeah,
I
I
mean,
don't know.
that's the thing. It's like a lot of the times, a lot of the midwives who are not taking active students or they have select students, and that's okay if you have select students, you know, no skins off my chin. If you have select students and you're only taking one student at a time or two students at a time, that's fine, but you also have to allow those students to come in and actually learn. And then if you do have students and you are actively teaching them, then at least allow them to truly learn. Don't just say, don't touch my clients, you just sit and chart.
Yeah,
Like, and then once the mom has birth, you just and you say to them, okay, now you go clean up and not pay them, if they're your birth assistant. Like, you should actively, like, treat them as an up and coming partner because we're not in competition. We're all here for the same thing.
and when you just mentioned the birth assistance not being paid, that's burnout too. So it'll be
Yeah,
burnout from the elders and burnout from the birth
the
assistants.
students. Yeah,
Everybody
because
burned out.
most of the student midwives are burned out because some of them are not even getting gas money to go to birth.
Girl, and traveling 30 miles. Girl, you don't want to get me started. Traveling 30 miles to get to a birth, 40 miles to get to a birth and not getting paid. And gas is like three something. Like, come on now.
I mean, let's
And
call
leaving
it
their families
slave labor.
behind.
It's slave labor. Cause why
Yes.
do you have me off in these backwoods and the only thing I'm doing is sitting here and writing everything down for you while you tell me about your family's politics and drama, and then you go and catch the baby and do all the midwifery things, and I'm stuck cleaning up instead of learning what I need to be learning while you're doing all the midwifery things.
Because of your sense of control or because of fear. Because you're afraid that, well, if you let this student midwife do something, something may happen. But then that's where your training comes in.
exactly. You literally talk them through it.
Yeah. You're
Like,
not gonna just walk away while they're handling things. You're not. I mean, yeah, yeah,
and then you expect them to be on call at your beck and call if you don't tell them that, hey, I'm on call, but you're not coming to this birth because the mom didn't want you there. And then all of a sudden they're double booked and now they want you to go to that same mama who did not want you there to go and catch their baby
yeah. And
because
there's
you're
burnout.
overbooked.
You don't even
Yeah,
want to enter the field.
exactly. And then still not pay for that. Like you can't do that as an elder. You can't do that as a preceptor. Like it's technically unethical. And it's dangerous because if both parties are burned out, you're gonna slip up and make a mistake. The student is not properly trained and they're gonna make a mistake. Something's gonna happen.
And at that point, I hate to say it because the hospitals have doctors and nurses working like that, working like crazy. But
They
hospitals
do.
hospitals also have a lot of resources that the midwives may not have at that point. You see what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So you cannot afford to be burned out like that. You can't
Mm-mm.
afford to be burned out. And I don't know, Adriana, I got to be real with you, girl. I am stressed out with this episode.
Look,
It's stressing me the hell out. I'm sorry, y'all.
listen, I got things to get off my chest because I really want these elders to hear us, okay? I got
Y'all
things to get off
stressing
my
us.
chest. Like I want you all to I love to sit at y'all's feet and learn, but at the same time, like, damn, don't mistreat us.
Don't miss. And since I'm stressed out, can I say one more thing? And can y'all check email? If y'all just have email, just check your email.
Yes, please
You
check
let it
your
sit
text.
there for 3 months. Check your email.
Yeah, check your emails, check text messages. Like I have two preceptors now. I am no longer apprenticing with one. Um but the two I have, if I don't meet clinic or if I'm not available, they just don't call. And that's fine. I respect that because as a student, like I'm asking to come into their space with their client.
Hmm.
But that one I'm no longer practicing with, like I that was unpaid. That was slave labor. And I tried to like I actively have tried to like bypass the saying, okay, well maybe it's an exchange that I will learn. And the only thing I've learned thus far, I will say this: I can chart like a son of a gun. My charting is impeccable. I can actively chart very, very well. I can pack a birth kit very, very well.
Charting and packing birth. And I'm not saying that that's not, those things aren't necessary. I'm not saying that. But yeah.
But with that particular preceptor, I was not able to get the hands-on experience that I was told I would be able to get because we went into year two and all they wanted me to do is sit on my hands and chart and clean up,
Yeah.
and that was unfair. Yeah, it
And
was a bunch of other stuff, but that's not relevant right now. But and then they wanted me to come to births if they were on call and they had back to back births. I was to be their on call person. I'm a baby midwife. I'm not even ready to ethically get out here and catch anybody, baby.
yeah. And you're on
Not
call
by
and you ain't getting
myself.
paid. You ain't
Right.
getting
And
paid.
I don't even have all the birth supplies I need to go to a birth with. And you want me to come and catch somebody, baby?
Mm-mm.
All I have is herbs, baby.
Yeah, if you ain't getting paid, how you even supposed to pay for those things that you need for the birth?
Exactly. Exactly. But that's a problem because I don't have all these things, but you're not paying me to have these things.
Exactly. I mean, this is not the olden days where you could live. And I don't even know if this ever even happened where you could live with the midwife and
I don't even
eat
know.
out of her garden and she feeds you. This ain't them days.
And then and then of course, if you're working with other midwives, then there's traction because some elders don't want you to work with other midwives because they want you to get their training and only. And
Mm-hmm.
that particular midwife had an issue with me going with my other two midwife preceptors, who I did less births with them than I did with that particular midwife. I was with that midwife for 2 years. I went to within a 6 month time frame, went to maybe 4 births, 4 or 5 births with my two current midwife preceptors. And I
Mm-hmm.
learned more with them in those 4 or 5 births than the 2 years I was with that one. All
Yeah.
while charting and packing the birth kit.
Yeah. It's I don't know. It's definitely a problem, but again, the problem also is, are the elder midwives making themselves available?
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is like you openly said, well, this is how I learned and I did not like it. Why would you still put your students through that though?
Exactly. And that kind of leads us to the next point, which I don't even know how to address this though, Adriana. Because this, y'all listen, the listening audience, we take notes before we come on here. So I'm
Yeah.
looking at notes and seeing the things that we need to talk about. But intergenerational healing within the midwifery community. So are we talking about elders who maybe are unhealed, who may have gone through traumatic experiences in the field? And listen, if they've been doing this for a long time, there's a chance that they've gone through some traumatic experiences. And so
Right.
because of that, they're holding on to things, and they don't want to, they don't want to expose, or they don't want the liability, or is that what we're dealing with? I think so. I think so. And we're also dealing with ego too. But I think we're also dealing with people who have dealt with some traumas probably in the birth world.
Well, I've said, like I said on our last episode, if you are not healed or if not actively trying to heal or even trying to make sure that you don't bring your own traumas to the birthing space, you don't need to be a midwife.
Yeah. And I
Like
also
that
think
that
healing in
that's a
between though, in between your work too though,
yeah, like what are y'all doing for self-care
Yeah.
to mitigate that? Because if you're just going from birth to birth to birth and you're not even applying some, even if it's just macro or micro self-care in between those births, you're still bringing that to each birth.
Yeah.
And it's too sacred of a space for you to be doing that.
Yeah. And I'm not gonna be all woozy, 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 but hey, this is midwifery. But this is a spiritual ritual. This is a
Mm-hmm.
spiritual ceremony. And you can't go from ceremony to ceremony to ceremony without being impacted by each ceremony. So there's a cleansing that has to happen after each ceremony. There
Right.
is a spiritual, emotional, logical cleansing that has to happen after each ceremony. And when I say cleansing, I mean healing. And I don't think that that's happening, um, especially in the US where everything is go, 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 go. I honestly do not think that that is happening. And I think that midwives, especially and including student midwives and doulas, I think that people are doing a great disservice to our clients, doing a great disservice to this work if you're not healing in between.
Agreed.
Yeah. I think you already said that though, but I'm saying it
Yeah.
again.
No, 100%. Like we definitely are doing them a disservice if we're not doing what we need to do to ensure that they are safe.
Yeah. So, Adriana, solutions. I'm going to say one solution. I'm going to reiterate this, y'all, for any of you elder midwives listening right now. My solution is have some contact information and follow up. Have some contact
Yeah,
information and follow up. For me, that's one of the solutions that I can come up with, how we bridge this thing.
yeah. And then we have to create those pathways. We have to create those pathways and keep them open. We have to be logical about it because in the South, amongst the youth here in the South, we need to come together back into community.
Mm.
We need community. I mean, woman needs community, period. But we need community. And then even with our nurse midwives out there, if you are precepting for future nurse midwives, then at least try to get into the community so that you can be a little more engaging when you are in your clinical setting so that you can understand what your mamas are asking for when they come to you.
Yeah.
You know, you guys need to get in the community too, because just hosting an event and saying, hey, this is what a midwife is not as beneficial as you think it is. You can actively say, you know what, I would like to attend a home birth so that I can see the kind of care that you would get in a home birth setting. And in some way, you can actively apply that in a clinical setting, believe it or not. You know, and you need to create pathways that's going to bridge that gap between your learning and your experience and work simultaneously alongside traditional and licensed midwives.
You know what,
Yeah.
Adriana? You're also making me think, oh my God, y'all, I just had a elder moment myself. I forgot what the hell I was saying in the middle of what I was saying. Please continue, Adriana. This is what I wanted to say. What I wanted to say. I've also seen this gap in language. You mentioned you can't just have events and people coming out. There's a language gap where you see the nurse midwives, even traditional midwives. I've seen that as well. They speak in a way where the client doesn't necessarily understand them.
Correct.
They like you're using all these medical terms and the client doesn't necessarily understand you. And I don't know, that might happen also with between student midwives and elder midwives as well. So I don't know. That just came to my mind, my elder mind, y'all. Let me be quiet for a second.
No, no, I appreciate it because it definitely bridges that gap. Like community and communication come go hand in hand. And if we are not speaking clear, concise language to people who may likely have the reading capacity and comprehension of a fourth grader, you're gonna lose them.
Hmm. Or even somebody who's not in the field, like somebody who is a carpenter may not understand all the words that are used in birth work, or
Right.
and vice versa. So
Right.
yeah.
So we're definitely going to put out a poll and see, what ways can we bridge the gap between the elder and the younger midwives? Like, would it be more community? Would it be more events, education? We want to hear from you guys and see what would be the best way to actively get that generational gap bridge because we want our elders to teach us. We know the elders need us to continue midwifery. So how can we bridge that gap and then be more cohesive?
I love that. Adriana just came up with that on the fly, y'all. That ain't
I
something we
do.
planned. She came up on the fly with that poll. I am loving that, Adriana. Yes.
Plug
Yes.
it.
Also, with that, while it's on my mind, midwifery and the sip podcast at gmail.com to share your birth stories, your Mississippi birth stories. Midwifery and the sip podcast at gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you and love to feature you on the podcast.
Yes, and don't forget to follow us on TikTok and Instagram. We also have a Facebook page, Midwifery and the Sip Podcast, and engage with us, share with us, and anything else that you can think of. We love to hear from you.
Yes, yes. Thanks for listening, y'all.
Peace.
Peace.